Right, I'm back again. Sorry, I was a minute late. Okay, I thought I was just going to give one or two. I think I have three or four, but they're pretty serious. I'm going to start with this one, which I thought I was pretty inured to it, really. Like I thought, yeah, I thought I was getting a handle on it, but it's just every time. It's just outrageous. So, a Christian man has been sentenced to death in Pakistan after being accused of blasphemy in 2013. He spent all of that time awaiting this sentence of death, as it were, now. And this is for blasphemy, let's not forget, when he refused a request to convert to Islam. So, Asif Pervez, who's 37 years old now, has been in custody since 2013. He claimed that his factory supervisor tried to convert him to Islam after he quit his job. And Asif says when he refused, he was accused of sending blasphemous text messages. This is a new one. It's actually not a new one. There was another couple of people who were accused of it who were actually illiterate or dyslexic. I think one had learning difficulties. It's pretty preposterous. So Pakistan, as we know, has, they say strict, I say stupid, laws which carry the death penalty for insulting Islam. Okay, so this is the article anyway. A Christian man has been sentenced to death in Pakistan for sending blasphemous texts to a former supervisor. Asif Pervez, 37, has already been in custody since 2013 for allegedly insulting Islam and was found guilty in Lahore, which is in the east of Pakistan, on Tuesday, but denies any wrongdoing, i.e. Maintains his innocence. He claims after quitting his job at a hosiery factory, his supervisor, Mohammed Said Cocker, I don't know, Cocker, basically, tried to convert him to Islam. But, sorry, I feel like I'm blushing now. But Asif says when he refused to change his beliefs, he was then accused, like in a punitive manner, of having sent blasphemous texts about Islam to this same guy. What a shocker. Like, Asif's lawyer, Saif ul-Maluk, told Al Jazeera the complainant was a supervisor in the hosiery factory where Asif was working under his supervision. He denied the allegations and said that the man was trying to convert him to Islam. The lawyer added that Asif would appeal his sentence of a 3-year prison term and a fine of 50,000 Pakistani rupees. That was the original sentencing, for misusing his phone to send a derogatory text message. The court order said that Asif would be hanged by the neck until his death, which is the same pronouncement that Britain used to use when we had capital punishment, after serving jail term, the jail time rather. So Asif spoke in his own defense during the trial, saying that he was confronted by his boss after he quit the factory job. But his boss, whose name I'm not going to read out again, but for anybody who's interested, is Khokher, and his first name's Mohammed. What a shocker. Denies wanting to convert his Christian colleague, according to his lawyer, who is Ghulam Mustafa Chowdhury. He said he has taken this defense after the fact because he had no other clear defense. That's why he accused him, i.e. the complainant, of trying to convert him. Chowdhury added that other Christians work at the factory and none have accused the supervisor of trying to convert them, but then maybe none of them had quit their job. So Pakistan has strict blasphemy laws as well, as we all know, which carry the death sentence. Asia Bibi is a very famous case of someone who was under that sentencing, but was later completely acquitted, another Christian. With half facing life sentences or the death penalty. And that was found to be the case by the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom. So an overwhelming, this is pretty overwhelming, 98% of the population in Pakistan follow Islam. And critics say that the law targets members of minority, well, it says other, but I'm going to go ahead and call it minority religious groups, including Hindus and Christians. Domestic and international human rights groups say blasphemy allegations have often been used to intimidate minorities and settle personal scores. And we see that over and over again. Some, you know, a Christian will be owed money by a Muslim. I think I've read at least 2 cases of that. And then the accusations come around. So just as an aside, an American citizen on trial for blasphemy in the northwestern city of Peshawar in July, you may remember, was shot dead in the courtroom by a teenager who had walked into the courtroom unarmed. One imagines that they have metal detectors and like security measures in place, and somehow procured a gun, managed to shoot the guy in full view of the entire courtroom, including the judge. And you can search engine the images for yourself. They're taking selfies with him with big smiles and the Islamic, you know, finger in the air thingy. He basically became somewhat of a hero for murdering a man in plain sight, broad daylight, whatever you want to call it. And that was because he said, because the guy insulted Muhammad. So since his arrest, the alleged shooter has been glorified as a, wait for it, people, holy warrior. And thousands of Islamists have rallied to demand his release. And if it's anything like when they demand the release of potential, you know, blasphemers, like they get their way when they're surrounding the police station and trying to rip somebody to pieces bodily in the streets, because they're very balanced people, these perpetrators. So yeah, he's been glorified basically for that. Also, a Punjab governor was killed by his own guard in 2011 after he defended a Christian woman who was Asia Bibi, accused of blasphemy. And she was, after 8 years, acquitted. Also, her brother-in-law had his throat slashed. Her legal team were given death threats. I think the judge was physically attacked or killed. I can't remember which one at this stage of the game. So she also, the death threats continued even when she was acquitted and found to be completely innocent of the charges, and she had to flee the country. Although my prime minister at the time said, what a shame, is that the time, oof, we couldn't possibly help. So that's one down, one in the bag. Okay, this one. Okay, Niger, right? This report is 3 days old. The Reverend Johanna Gyang Bitrus of Shiona Baptist Church was abducted on Thursday afternoon by gunmen demanding oh, hope springs eternal. Sorry, I'm not laughing at the abduction. It's the cheek of these dudes. They're demanding 60 million NGN. I'm sure they're worth quite a lot. That is almost $158,000. And that's reported in the Daily Post Nigeria. What I would say is this trend, like of kidnapping school children initially and demanding ransoms as soon as you accede to one, that's your lot basically. But the reason I find this story, you know, the reason I'm touched by stories of pastors being kidnapped is because originally the very first story that I don't know if it's the first one I covered, but it's the first one that really touched me, other than the picture of the girl with the big chiv hanging out of her head. Yeah, it was a pastor who was calling, even in his hostage video before he was murdered, calling for forgiveness for his captors, basically, and God's ultimate glory. And I just found that just breathtaking, really. So the gunman was said to have arrived in the community and went straight to the cleric's house and whisked him away to an unknown location. And the writer of that in the Daily Post, who is Priscilla Dennis, added that a local source informed the agency that bandits stormed the area in the afternoon, shooting sporadically to create panic among the people. And I've read another first-hand account of this, and I think it was too distressing, really, to make the video, but like based on those words. So the incident occurring in the Tigina Rafi local government area of Niger State has left family members absolutely devastated and searching for ways to raise the large sum of money for the pastor's release. According to, if I hadn't just moved the page, where am I? According to the persecution watch agency Open Doors, who I'm often referencing, and they do the top 50, like top of the pops list, Niger is a majority. This is also, I'm going to call it a majority, 99% Muslim nation, whose Christian population lives in relative peace and security. I read here. However, I would say being abducted at gunpoint is pretty counter intuitive if I read that sentence again. Yeah, it doesn't say the majority of the Christian population, it says the Christian population. Let's not quibble. He's like literally abducted, missing. However, there are certain areas of the country that border regions under radical Islamic control. But wait, I thought it was just bandits. Nope. Anyway, under radical Islamic control, where believers are more likely to experience persecution, let's put it that way. And this persecution is not restricted to like a sideways glance or, you know, being tripped over in the street. We're talking abductions at gunpoint, murders, willy-nilly, basically, dismemberments, macheteing, the whole nine. Yeah. So, Reverend Johanna Gyang Bitrus, let's just take a minute, if that's all right, and not too embarrassing for everybody, to just pray that whilst he's in captivity with, with little chance of making it out alive without the 158,000 American dollars, I mean, even then, who knows? Just pray that he isn't shaken from his faith and that he can, that the Holy Spirit will be with him and in him and give him peace, bless him with a sense of peace, and that his captors would be violently, let's go for it, woken up to the evil and the delusion that they're under in assuming that they work for God when they're literally murdering and persecuting their way around town. Okay, so that's that story done. Here we go again. Nigeria now. Always Nigeria. Bless Nigeria. This is reported today. The Daily Post has reported that a Christian school was attacked following a controversy over the wearing of hijab in mission schools, leading to a riot that spread to several other churches in the area. Let's find out, because that seems a bit wild. The situation, however, turned chaotic and violent. What do you mean turned? It's already led to a riot. I think this is like an edit. It says here, the situation, however, turned chaotic and violent when unidentified persons attempted to forcefully open the gate of the school in the presence of security operatives. Who would have an issue? So there was an appeal for calm by the chairman, State Teaching Service Commission, which is TESCOM, and the chairman is Malam Tawhid Bello, who addressed the angry crowd, although his protestations, as it were, fell on deaf ears. And shortly after his address, another violent clash broke out following gunshots fired from inside Emmanuel Baptist Church, opposite CNS College, Sabo OK, in case anyone wants to nip over, at around 12:10 p.m., so lunchtime, whilst the church was also pelted with stones and other objects. What a shocker, a church being attacked. So the violence then spread. I mean, this is just the stuff of nightmares. The violence spread to St. Barnabas LGEA Primary School. So we've got literally under 11-year-olds now at risk and involved. And some churches in the area also, it spread there as people armed with cutlasses, like it doesn't mention whether they had parrots and eye patches as well, but cutlasses and broken bottles went on the rampage. In response, the Christian community also mobilized its own forces to counter the attack in a bid to protect their people and property. And I'm just going to say quietly, good. Okay, so according to a recent article written by Premium Times reporter Alfred Olufemi, The Kwara state government reopened 10 schools on Wednesday after closing down on February 19th due to this hijab controversy. We don't even know what the actual argument yet. So while the church maintains the position that the wearing of hijab is not permitted at the mission schools, it's completely within their right to do so. The schools that are founded by Christian missionaries, the Kwara government granted the approval of the use of hijab in all public schools in the state. Protests have followed the government announcement, with Christians standing firm on Reverend Victor Dada's and other Christian leaders' stances that the body condemns the use of hijab in Christian missions grant-aided schools, as this will cause discrimination in schools and allow terrorists, and this is the crux of it, to easily identify children and wards. Because I've literally heard extremists and Islamists, Boko Haram, ISWAP, say, like, return Muslim children that have been kidnapped along with Christian kids when they've been, like, kind of scooped up, as it were. And they've literally returned the Muslim children, saying, if we'd have known they were Muslim, we wouldn't have taken them. And also then saying, but if we get them again, we won't be fetching them back and down with Western education, etc. But yeah, so that's another reason they should not be worn in schools, because yeah, it heightens the risk of violent abduction and death for Christian children there. And why should they? Why? Just why? Somebody tell me. Okay, so I've covered the pastor. I've covered the further school drama. That's like a drama-rama of schools, churches, the whole, like, cutlasses. Okay, that's that. And I think I'm going to leave it there, because I could literally, from now until potentially the coming of the Son of Man, because obviously no one knows, I could just read reams and reams and reams and reams of persecution to you. And this is a question, actually. You can put a 1 or a 2, I guess, for the answer, maybe, or in the comment section. Let me know, because I was pondering this earlier. Do you prefer, I mean, these are your only options. Don't, like, these are your 2 options. I'm backing you into a corner. Do you prefer individual stories? I don't mean stories of individuals. I mean individual stories of persecution, one at a time, in videos, like the beheading in Mozambique and the, you know, Christian girls raped at the order of the imam over there in Happyville? Or do you prefer, like, the roundup that I did thanks to Raymond Ibrahim? Or do you want, like, me to continue with both? So if you prefer individual stories, could you put number 1 and I'll be your best friend? Not because I'm influencing your vote, just for the fact that you're telling me. Number 2 is for, like, a roundup and a consolidated means of conveying the information. You're all absolutely despicable trolls. I love you anyway, but that's it. I'm never speaking to any of you. Thank you, Cherokee. It was a number 2, but excellent. So we have 1 vote for a roundup, a weekly roundup. That was actually villainous. Okay, I knew it would go south. The point is, Cherokee, love you lots. That was a monthly roundup. I could do a weekly. I could. Okay, so we've got a mixture. So I guess if I continue to do a mix of the 2, I'll be keeping some of the 1s happy, some of the 2s. Villainous as a 3, you must be happy with, or, you know, as a trinity of likes over there. Exactly. Open secrets on the bandwagon, like the slippery slope, common denominator, villainous, and then it all goes sideways. If anybody can't see the live chat, because, for example, I've uploaded this on Rumble, I'm sorry about that. I just have very good friends who happen to be trolls living under a bridge, literally luring billy goats to their doom. Okay, then, on that sort of metaphysical weirdness, please do pray for Niger, pray for Nigeria, pray for Kaduna State, especially lately, pray for Pakistan, pray for Anybody in prison in Pakistan under these literally medieval, archaic, I don't know what we want to call them, draconian, unfair, made up in the in the back of a tea shop somewhere. These cockamamie, even if you're Americans, like, and live in the 50s. Seriously, please, let's pray for the people who are persecuted and suffering, because they are in the body of Christ just as we are. And as they suffer, we do. And maybe that's only on a kind of ethereal level in some way if we don't know about it. But we do know about it thanks to moi and thanks to your continued support and interest. So please click like, share the shizzle out of the link. They don't run out. They just keep working no matter how many people you send them to. And yeah, I'm calling you all trolls. That's not the people watching, the people in the live chat, because the people watching are, you know, afterwards are all clearly lovely people. Otherwise they wouldn't be here. Anywho, all right then, it's literal waffle alert time. I'm going to press the first button because that encourages me to stop talking. And God bless you, sincerely, genuinely. It's not just a kind of pat phrase that I use. I hope, my hope for you is that through seeing the suffering and praying over the suffering of our siblings, for one, we would see the blessings that we have, even though we might not be able to maintain our attitude of gratitude at all times, but to see God will open a way for you to help these people. And yeah, that can only be a good thing. All right then, God bless you. See you soon. Come to Discord if you haven't already. That's an order, soldiers. And I'll see you there. Bye.